Good evening, everyone. My name's Councillor Vicky Jelly and I'm the Mayor of Warrnambool City Council, and I'll be chairing tonight's council meeting. I'd like to formally welcome everyone here in the gallery tonight and those watching this council meeting via live streaming at home. This scheduled council meeting will be conducted in accordance with the council's governance rules, and any interruptions to the meeting or actions not in line with behavioural expectations will be dealt with in accordance with these rules or council's governance local laws. We'll now proceed to the items on the agenda, and commencing with the opening prayer and acknowledgement of the traditional owners. Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of this city. Amen. I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we stand and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Are there any apologies for this meeting? No, no apologies. Confirmation of minutes. Councillors, at item 3 on the agenda, we have a recommendation before us to confirm the minutes of the scheduled meeting of Council held on the 1st of March 2021. Do I have a mover? Councillor Ziegler. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Akosh. All those in favour? Thank you. The motion is carried unanimously. Conflicts of interest. If a councillor has a conflict of interest, they must declare it now and do so again just prior to the item being discussed. A councillor who has declared a conflict of interest must leave the meeting and remain outside the room while the matter is being considered or any vote is taken. Once the matter is resolved, the councillor will return to the meeting. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest for tonight? No? Thank you. Okay, the Mayoral Presentation. We've had a busy month in the city and it's great to see the city buzzing again. We've had the long weekend in March where there was a lot of sporting activities and things going on in the town. We've just had the Easter weekend and it's great to see that a lot of accommodation was booked out and people around visiting the region and Warrnambool. Deputy Mayor Ziegler and I attended the West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House Neighbourhood Day last week, which was well attended by a lot in the community, and also there were about 50 children from the West Warrnambool Primary School who came and sang and played music, so that was really great for them to provide entertainment. Last week I also visited the Southwest Healthcare COVID Vaccination Centre, which is situated down at Sam's warehouse building down off Ferry Street. It's great to see Southwest Healthcare, how they've got it set up down there. Some of the local frontline workers have already had their immunisation and it'll soon move forward to aged care and then the community. So that's really good. That's well under control, under the control of Southwest Healthcare. The other thing that's great that's happened this week is also the painting of the facades of the buildings out here in Tymel Street, working in conjunction with Powercore. That's great that they've been able to do that and the businesses have been able to still run, but it's great every day to see what they're doing out there, and it'll really lift the look of that block in the city. So really look forward to that being done. So thank you very much, and we look forward to the region continuing and the city continuing to have a lot of visitors and a lot happening. So councillors, we are now moving to the officers' report section of the agenda. I would like to remind you of the speaking times allocated for each item during the meeting as outlined in the governance rules. The mover of a motion may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes to open the debate and then a further 2 minutes later to exercise their right of reply and close the debate. Any other councillor, including the seconder, may speak for or against a motion for no more than 3 minutes. To assist councillors with time limits, you will hear a signal when you have reached the maximum time allowed. I would ask you to respect those time limits, please. Agenda item 5, 5.1, Audit and Risk Committee Self-Assessment. The purpose of this report is to provide the Council with the annual performance evaluation of the Audit and Risk Committee. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Blaine, what is your motion?
That the Audit and Risk Committee performance evaluation be received.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler, thank you. Councillor Blaine, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, please. The self-evaluation for the Audit and Risk Committee, they perform a very important function within Council, overlooking all of the risk management controls within Council, and these are really good results. 88% of the independent, 88%, positive from the independent members. There are still areas that Council can improve on, whether it's training for the independent members so they can be better at their jobs within the Audit and Risk Committee, even though they already have a wealth of experience. Council's identification and management of risks, and the timing of the agendas, which is mainly just admin. But it's really good. This is the first time this survey has actually been used to assess the performance of the Audit and Risk Committee, and it seems like it's a really high benchmark that'll be interesting to see how it stands up against future years. So I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ziegler, would you wish to speak to the motion?
Councillor Blaine said everything.
Thank you. Any other councillors wishing to speak? Councillor Paspaliaris?
Yes, thanks. I'm really pleased that we do have some form of self-assessment taking place in this committee, and I hope that it will continue annually. I do have a question. I'm wondering, for the interests of the community, more so, if the tool has been available for use previously but chosen not to be used. So I'm not sure if anyone can answer that question for me. It does obviously say that this was the first time this tool was used, but I'm just wondering if there were any other self-assessment processes used previously. Thanks.
Through you, Mayor, there were previous self-assessment tools used, but this self-assessment tool has been developed in alignment with industry standards. Sorry, the second part was whether they'd been made available. They were made available to Council, but I don't think that they'd previously come to open Council.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? Thank you. There being no further councillors, Councillor Blaine, do you wish to speak before closing the debate?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried forward unanimously. Thank you. Council Advisory Committees, Review of Operations, agenda page number 7. The purpose of this report is to review the Council Advisory Committees. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Ziegler, what is your motion?
Councillor Jelly, councillors, I move that the decision to review the advisory committees be deferred until the next council meeting to give us time to review the whole issue, to actually set some objectives and goals and terms of reference for a revised range of committees, to make sure that the committees are achieving what we want them to achieve. As a member of the community that's been part of advisory boards, 3 or 4 different advisory boards over the last 40 years, I understand the importance of these things, and I don't want to rush to change anything until we see that it's going to serve us well.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Arnott? Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to speak further to the motion? Councillor Arnott, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour to defer? All All those against? Thank you. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Not quite unanimous.
Oh, sorry, no, not unanimously, sorry, 6 to 1, sorry. Okay, thank you. Agenda item 5.3, changes to emergency management legislation in relation to council's involvement. The purpose of this report is to provide information to the changes to the Emergency Management Acts in regard to the structure of the new Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Blaine, what is your motion?
The council authorises the disestablishment of the existing Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee established under S2135 of the Emergency Management Act 1986 in recognition that on the 1st of December these provisions are repealed by S82.2 of the Emergency Management Legislation Amendment Act 2018 and replaced by the provisions of S68 of the Emergency Management Legislation Amendment Act 2018. The Council authorises the CEO to facilitate the establishment of the MEPC in accordance with the provisions of S68 of the Emergency Management Legislation Amendment Act 2018, which inserts new Part 6 Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committees into Emergency Management Act 2013 on the 1st of December 2020. And 3, that Council notes under the Emergency Management Legislation Amendment Act 2018, which inserts S59 and 59F into Emergency Management Act 2013 and on the 1st of December 2020. Council's role is to establish the committee. Once established, the committee exists separately to Council and is not a committee of Council.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Paspaliaris, thank you. Councillor Blaine, do you wish to speak to the motion?
This one here is just more of a change in legislation, the change in the way that we look at emergency management within the municipality. It's removing some of the responsibilities really from council and using an independent body in order to manage. So, yes, I'm happy to support.
Thank you. Councillor Paspaliaris, would you like to speak? Would any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Thank you. There being no further councillors, speakers, Councillor Blaine, do you wish to speak before closing? Thank you. Now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 5.4, Port of Warrnambool and Rivers funding applications. Agenda page 15. The purpose of this report is to provide information on funding applications lodged for the Port of Warrnambool, Mayoral and Hopkins Rivers. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Blaine, what is your motion?
The Council authorises the CEO to enter into an agreement with Victorian Fisheries Authority for the offers provided and authorise the CEO to enter into an agreement with Better Boating Victoria should support be shown from Better Boating Victoria.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Arnott. Thank you. Councillor Blaine, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, please. This is exciting that we've already sort of got some supported applications, especially they've got 100% funding. We seem to have already got $350,000 in funding for Jubilee Park. We are a fishing destination here in Warrnambool, and that's what we want to be known as, and we want to be getting better and better and having better and better infrastructure in order to support it. So it's good to see that Better Boating Victoria is behind us. In the future applications that have been lodged, like with a 20-80% funding ratio, with council putting in 20% and 80% coming from Better Boating Victoria, it's exciting to see that, you know, these things will pay big dividends as we encourage more and more fishermen to come to our city. Even though the Port of Warrnambool is a major concern and council has plans, it's good to see the council actually has plans for our surrounding rivers as well, with the Mayoral and the Hopkins featuring predominantly in these funding lists. So, looks good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to speak to the motion? No. Thank you. Any other councillors wishing to speak? Councillor Ziegler, thank you.
I'd just like to make the point that in case folks get a bit confused, the applications made exclude the larger scale works to the point of relating to the Port of Warrnambool. including the boat ramp upgrade, breakwater and car park improvements, as that will be a separate source of funding from Boat Victoria.
Thank you for that. There being no further speakers, Councillor Blaine, do you wish to close the debate?
No, thanks.
No, thank you. Now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Unanimously. Thank you very much. 5.5 on the agenda, review of the revegetation policy and guidelines, agenda page number 19. The purpose of this report outlines the review of the revegetation policy and guidelines, presents the revised draft revegetation policy and Warrnambool revegetation guidelines for consideration and recommends their release for consultation. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Ziegler, what is your motion?
I'll move that the council approves the release of the draft revegetation policy and revegetation guidelines for consultation. Very happy to receive any kind of consultation on these kind of issues.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Arnott, thank you. Councillor Ziegler, would you like to speak to the motion? Okay. Councillor Arnott? Anyone else? Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to speak before closing the debate? Thank you. I now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Unanimously passed. Thank you. 5.6, Advisory Committee and Reference Group Reports, agenda page number 22. This report contains the record of one reference group meeting, the Warrnambool Airport Reference Group meeting held on the 15th of March 2021. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Taylor, what is your motion?
Thank you, Mayor Shirley. I'd recommend the record of the Airport Reference Group meeting held on the 15th of March 21 be received.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Ziegler? Thank you. Councillor Taylor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor Shirley. There was just one concern that was raised at the meeting, was the formation of the wind towers at Woolsthorpe and Hexham, and the subject was raised with the wind tower people concerned, so that is going to be discussed and looked at in the near future. Thank you, Mayor Shirley.
Thank you. Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to speak to the motion? Anyone else like to speak? Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Taylor, do you wish to close the debate?
Thank you, Mayor Shirley. The height of the wind towers, just on normal clear day, is quite okay and clear for incoming aircraft, but the concern is the approach of aircraft in bad weather, when the aircraft have to come in to land on their manual cockpit digits. So that area is going to be looked at, and hopefully it'll be corrected in the near future. Thank you, Mayor Shirley.
Thank you. Now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. 5.7, Informal Meetings of Council Reports, page number 23 on the agenda. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with copies of informal meetings of Council previously known as Assembly of Councillor Records, as previously required under Section 80A(2) of the Local Government Act 1989. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Blaine, what is your motion?
I move we accept the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Blaine, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Councillor Arnott. Anyone else like to speak? Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Blaine would like to close?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. Agenda item 5.8, the Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report. The purpose of this report is to summarise Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council activities since the last ordinary meeting, which particularly relate to key social, economic and environmental issues of direct relevance to the Warrnambool community. Councillors, do I have a motion? Councillor Blaine, what is your motion?
I move that the Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report be received.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Paspaliaris, thank you. Councillor Blaine, would you like to speak to it?
No, thank you.
Councillor Paspaliaris.
I just, Mayor Jelly, if you could just elaborate a little bit on just where you attended a meeting of the Regional Cities Victoria Group.
Yes, we're involved in the Regional Cities Victoria Group. The meeting was to be in Shepparton, but it was at the last hour cancelled because of Zoom. A lot of people now Zoom into things, so they decided to cancel the physical meeting, so it was a Zoom meeting. They're held every couple of months with the regional cities, the larger cities, Ballarat, Bendigo, Warrnambool, Mildura, all those sort of cities. So it was done by Zoom in the end. Thank you. Any other councillors wanting to speak to the motion? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Jelly. Yes, on the Saturday of the long weekend, I did represent yourself at the official opening of the Warrnambool gift at the Friendly Society's Park. Thank you, Mayor Jelly.
Thank you. That was good. That was the rerun of it because we got washed out a couple of months ago. So thank you for that. Any other councillors? Councillor Ziegler?
Yes, Councillor Jelly, I represented you at the opening of the Hampden League, launch of the Hampden League season in the very impressive Matilda room. A lot of good people there, and it looks very promising for a great season of football coming up.
Thank you very much. Great. Anyone else? Councillor Coyce?
Thank you, Madam. I attended the farewell at St. Joseph as a parent, but there was a message from Michael Gray to pass it to the council that during the 25 years of his time at St. Joseph Primary School, the school has been helped by the City Council, so we want to say thank you to the City Council through in there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and he's retired. I hope he enjoys his retirement.
He's actually moving on to a bigger position.
Very good. Anyone else? Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Blaine, do you wish to speak before closing the debate?
No, thank you.
No. Thank you. I'll put to the vote. Those are all in favour. Thank you. Carried unanimously. Okay. Agenda item number 6, public question time. Acting CEO, are there any public questions tonight?
There's one public question. It's from Jeffrey Cottrell of Warrnambool. Does the Warrnambool City Council intend to do anything to attract the thousands of recreational vehicles, caravans, motorhomes, etc., and grey nomad campers staying in Warrnambool? Portland is a recreational vehicle friendly town, and grey nomads bypass Warrnambool and spend money there. The average grey nomad couple spend between $700 and $1,000 per week, which the WCC is gifting to Portland. RVs and grey nomads travel in self-contained vehicles and will not stay in expensive caravan parks. They need not much more than a paddock. There is big money to be made by Warrnambool businesses for very little expense to council. The questions are, number 1, is Warrnambool City Council going to set up a camping site? And 2, is Warrnambool City Council going to set up an accessible dump point? Responses that we have internally is free camping under its various definitions is a national issue with a range of views and policy approaches by local governments. Warrnambool City Council's existing position is that guests to the city must stay in registered accommodation. This position provides support for Warrnambool registered accommodation providers and the cost of compliance that comes with it. Accommodation providers have been one of the most adversely impacted sectors during COVID-19 restrictions, and it remains important that this sector continue to be supported. Warrnambool's position on free camping is in line with many coastal cities across Australia with large-scale travel markets and depth and diversity of commercial accommodation offerings. Free access to a dump point in Warrnambool does presently exist at Surfside Holiday Park within normal operating hours.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. There being no further items of business, I declare that the meeting closed at 6:10 p.m. Thank you very much.